Hello, welcome back everyone to another week of Pardon the Disruption. I'm your host, Aaron. Unfortunately, Weasel is out this week. He's visiting some family, but I'm gonna come here and make sure I can handle it down for him. If you've never watched the episode before, I got some of the hottest real estate panel on in the entire world, honestly. And I have 5 pre-selected questions for you. They'll have 45 seconds to give their best topic, best debate, best argument, and then we'll have a nice rebuttal. So I'm gonna let them go ahead. We're missing one today. RJ Bates seems like he was a little scared. Maybe he didn't get the memo. Seems like there's a dress code today. So I'm gonna let Steve go ahead and go first and introduce yourself.
Well, RJ was really sensitive last time, right? When Eric took all his minutes, right? When Eric took his lunch, and he kind of like, I guess this is kind of like his little protest. It's fine, it's whatever. But yeah, I'm Steve Trang, Real Estate Disruptors. We are focused on all things sales. So right now, we just recently launched a sales leadership training with my good friend Ren Bartlett. Be sure to check that out if you haven't seen it.
Nice, nice. And yeah, I think RJ was a little scared. He had a really, really bad week. I would have took a week off too if I was him. But let's go on to Leon G. Barnes. Do not forget the G.
Do not forget the G. Leon G. Barnes with the Collective Genius. And as you can see, we are paying homage to our host, Steve Trang. Happy birthday to you, my friend. Your team really does love you because they sent us these nice t-shirts to wear on today's show. I will tell you that they did not get my measurements correct, though, because this thing is like a dress on me currently. But we're going to make it work today.
You look great in a moo-moo.
One more shout out to Chris Jefferson, because I saw last week's show and I brought my camera today. Shout out.
Yeah, so we'll let Chris. Looks like his Wi-Fi, his internet's working today, so he's out from under the water. So Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself.
No doubt, man. Chris Jefferson, Richmond, VA, charged up university. All right, you know the vibes, man. I was able to get my camera fixed. Shout out to Steve Train, man. Happy birthday. All right, get rich or die trying. Hopefully he doesn't die trying, man. Hopefully this guy one day gets rich. All right. But look, I'm excited to be back, excited to win again. All right, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Yes, and again, shout out to Steve Train with the t-shirts today. Get rich or die trying. And let's go right into the first question. So Florida, we know they've been going through disaster, praying for everybody there. But, as real estate agents, sometimes we have to take advantage of things that happen in this world. So we're going to start off a little funny today. How long should we wait before calling Florida leads? Let's start with Steve.
Man, this is such a tough question. This was an audience question from last week. And I mean, truthfully, I think if you're going to start, if this is the prospect you're going to go after, I would start now. I think waiting till later on isn't going to serve you any good. The reality is a lot of homeowners get so many calls, they don't know who's calling them. So if you're going to go down this road, you might as well start now. What's the old adage, right? Vote early, vote often. I think you take that same mindset with prospecting. Prospect now, prospect later, and don't stop prospecting if this is the avenue you decide to go down.
Great. All right, we're going to go over to Leon G. Barnes.
So Steve is right. This is a sensitive question, and I happen to live in Southwest Florida, and we were thankfully here in Tampa. We dodged a bullet, but that bullet was not dodged in Fort Myers and Port Charlotte. So the answer is for Florida leads to call them. You can call anywhere: Tampa, Orlando, Jacksonville, Miami. All of those markets are available. They had minimal, even inland in Orlando, there was some flooding, but there's tons of markets that you can call. What I would say is this is super sensitive, guys. People have lost their homes. People have lost lives. This is a tragedy. And so be respectful of said tragedy. And make sure that if you are going to do anything in that market, just make sure you're adding value first. Help people first with that mindset. There's plenty of other markets you can call in Florida. Be helpful in the Fort Myers, Port Charlotte area.
100%. Be helpful, add value. I love that point right there. CJ, close us out for this round.
Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what's been said. I mean, you're talking about people that have been devastated, right? I mean, anytime in our own lives when we deal with devastation, we're in vulnerable moments. So is now a good time to call? I would say yes. I would get on the phone and make some calls, but at the same time, I'd be more encouraged to really go door to door. I'd really want to be in that market going face to face and looking at absentee owners that are outside of that direct area. So people that are outside of Fort Myers, outside of the South Florida area, I'll be reaching out to them and trying to make some headway because, again, it's a sensitive topic, like both Steve and Leon have said. So finding some balance, I think, in that is super important. But yeah, I definitely would go after the leads for sure.
Great, great. And I'm gonna be real, I'm a little new to this. I definitely forgot to start time on that last one. So you might have got a little longer than 45 seconds. But I'm gonna let you guys rebuttal, and the voting has opened, so make sure you guys cast your votes.
Yeah, and I think that if this is the avenue you're going to go, and I'm not going to judge anyone, for going down this road. If this is the avenue you're going to go, kind of like what Leon alluded to, is don't go there and start cold calling and texting per se. Is offer a service. Get involved in having a directory of services that are available. Like if you were going to get into probate, you would want to have like a move out service, an appraisal service for like all the items inside the house, the estate sales and this and that. This is what you would do if you were trying to get into probate. Same thing here. Like if you're gonna go down this road, have connections with underwriters, insurance, the whatever that service is for like drying out properties, whatever that is. But going there, adding value, have them reach out to you as like, oh, I also do this.
Yeah, so this is another piece of where I was going, but the 45 seconds was up. But I would really, for me, just for who I am as a human being and how I would approach any type of, homeowner in a situation like this, I would want to be treated like, how I would want to treat people how I want to be treated. So in this particular case, I'm reaching out to roofing contractors, fire and water restoration. I'm letting them know also that, hey, if you run across these, I do pay a referral. I'm going more of that route rather than going direct to that homeowner. Because I can tell you, to Chris's absentee, I love that. But a lot of those absentees that I've talked to that own properties in those particular areas, they don't know yet. They haven't been able to get into those areas as of late last week.
Yeah, and you got to just be of service, I think, is the point that Leon's making, right? Like, again, people are dealing with devastation. People don't know what decision they're even making in their own lives yet between repair, replacement, whatever the case might be. I think a lot of times people are gung-ho and wholesaling, and we're chasing that dollar so aggressively all the time to make money. I think if you're going to chase disaster leads in a moment like this, it's a really great opportunity to truly be of service. Build that Rolodex, like Steve is saying. See how you can come in, step up, and assist somebody. And you can make money along the way, but you can do a lot of good at the same time, and I think that's more important.
And there's nothing wrong with guys with marketing in regards to if you're doing PPC leads or you're spending money for to make the phone ring because someone actually needs help. That's a service. Now you're offering a service versus cold calling people that may have lost a loved one. And so, to me, just make sure that you're sensitive to those people in that particular area.
Great first round, guys. Great points right there. And once again, everyone in Florida, we're praying for you. Hope you guys get through the disaster you guys are going through. We have a couple comments in the chat right here. We see Josh saying that he wants Weasel back. You can go call him if you want him back. The U is in here strong today. The U family's in here strong, but unfortunately for the U family, Steve Trang was able to take round one with 50% of the votes. So he will get the first round victory. Going on the second round, should your employees be W-2 or 1099? Let's actually start with CJ this time.
Yeah, I just think it's about where you're at in your business, right? I think when we all start our businesses out, we're lean, we're mean, we're trying to figure everything out. And we're not really in a position to offer somebody a W-2 wage or something to that effect. So I think 1099s make a lot of sense when you're first starting out. W-2, look, you got to be prepared for payroll taxes. You got to be prepared for benefits, insurance, things of that nature. You got to have your big boy pants on, so to speak, at that point in time. And you got to make sure that you got somebody that you want to retain. Because there's a lot that comes with a W-2. So I'd recommend 1099 for sure starting out. I like 1099 employees, not employees. I like 1099 independent contractors. Shout out to the IRS. All right. So 1099 independent contractor for sure is a great person to have on your team, because trust me, you do not want the unemployment commission hitting you up. Take it from me. All right.
Right at 47 seconds exactly. A little 2 seconds over, but nice round right there. Let's go over to Steve.
I mean, if we're going to do everything technically correct, W-2, right? If we're going to try to do everything correct, the reality is entrepreneurship is a messy, messy thing, right? So when you're starting, you are 1099ing everybody except for your administrative people. But the reason why this is important is that if you're telling your salespeople, I need your butt in this seat at 8:30 a.m., no exceptions, that's a W-2. You 1099 them, you will get busted by unemployment commission when they go file unemployment. So the right thing to do is W-2. But the reality is, in the sales organization, a lot of your salespeople are 1099. That's just kind of the nature of the beast. So there's like the right way, and then there's like real world application.
All right. And in the round off with Leon G. Barnes.
So because this is being recorded, let's make sure we start with employees. Employees are W-2, right? Employees are W-2. Contractors are 1099. And shout out to my boy Eric Brewer, who it looks like I got his shirt. He says all the time, he says there's levels to this, right? And CJ referenced that. When you're starting out, you need to leverage relationships with contractors. That's 1099. As you continue to grow your business and you have expectations of employees being at team meetings, being at certain functions at certain times, and you're requiring them to do employee things, it is time to make that switch. I have seen, like CJ referenced earlier, investors get in trouble, big time fines when asking 10, 20, 30 people that are paid as contractors that are doing employee type things. So there are levels to this. Make sure you're doing it the right way.
All that told me is that I need to be 1099 so I can take more time and go home. So Steve does not have to have me go through meetings. But you guys have a rebuttal for minute 25. Go ahead.
Well, that's the reason why you're W-2, Aaron, because I do need your butt in your seat at 8:30 in the DMs.
There you go.
That's right.
It's funny, man. I'm laughing about this conversation because I've been hit with said fines from the unemployment commission. So I'm familiar with the process.
So here's the evolution that I see, Chris, and you are so spot on with those fines, because what happens is if you do it for an extended period of time, at some point, someone's going to complain. They got dismissed from their 1099 W-2, whatever that is, but it's there as a 1099. And said, well, I was told I had to be here for this, and I told her I had to be there for that. And that's generally where that comes. The evolution of a real estate investor, I typically see when you first start out, you have to leverage relationships. As you continue to grow, you get into that 25 to 100 category of transactions on an annual basis. You may have a couple W-2s and a bunch of 1099s. The difference between the highest level, the mid-tier, is generally the difference in the switch in the employee. That person now has 50 W-2s versus 2 or 3 and a bunch of 1099s.
Yeah, and if you think about like the 1099, the reason why we have it the way it is like, hey, look, Chris, I trust you, you trust me, right? Like, I'm going to pay you this way. And like, we're going to skirt around the rules, right? The moment I let Chris go, all this flexibility is gone.
Yes.
That's what happened to me. I had a sales rep. He was one of my reps. We had a disagreement. I can be a little stern sometimes. I let the guy go. 2 weeks later, I get this nice package in the mail from the Virginia Employment Commission, and they said they needed to see me because this gentleman had gone off to say that he was fired. And because I was giving him hours to work from, to I think Leon's point, he was considered a W-2 employee. So there were fines and taxes and, that kind of thing. But
you got interest and everything else. The other thing too, this is different than the topic, but I just want to add this real quick. The one way I know someone is established or not as a business owner is if they're W-2 or not, right? If you're not paying yourself a W-2, you're still a rookie.
It's a differentiator for me when I'm looking at our community. When someone is applying to the Collective Genius and they tell me that they have on their application 40 employees, but they've only been in the business for 2 years, I generally know that's 39 1099s. It gives me a baseline of where someone is in the business. So if there's anything that someone would take away from this is as you continue to level up, you need to make that transition.
All right. Well, voting is closing right now. So place your last votes. And She gave me a lot of education right there. I really didn't know there was a big difference between the two. So it sounds like I need to be signing 1099s from now on and no more W-2s. So, Steve, we're going to renegotiate my contract after this is all over. But Chris Jefferson did take this one with 55% of the vote, winning round 2. So 1-1 for Steve, and CJ and Leon still waiting to get on the board. All right, round 3. We're going to go with, what are your thoughts on the Feds calling for a housing reset? Leon, I'm going to let you start this round off.
Oh, goodness. You, of course, going to let me start with this one. Government. Let's start with Leon with the government question. Oh, goodness. You know, this is a tough one, guys. Affordable housing is the issue that we've had now for the last 4 or 5 years. And these interest rates, I talk quite often with Jason Medley, the founder of the Collective Genius, about this because it's timely. Interest rates continue to go up, and it's like every 30 days, hit you with another increase, hit you with another increase, hit you with another increase. And what's happening is, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to slow down the market and reset it. And like anything, when you make these type of moves this fast, there are consequences, unintended or intended consequences that come from it. The biggest one that I see is that sellers are not selling. So therefore, in a lot of markets, therefore, you have a lot of inventory issues, and therefore you have a lot of affordable housing issues that continue.
Nice. Leon, I noticed you like to use the buzzer as a 10-second buffer, but we'll go on to Chris Jefferson for the next one.
Yeah, man, that's just a buzzer is just a suggestion. To me.
I think it's because he's in Eric's shirt.
Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I hit it, but whatever. We'll go to Chris though.
So I look, this is a tough one, man. I think the reset has to happen. It's going to impact a lot of different people. Interestingly enough, though, I mean, we haven't seen a lot of damage just yet. I think it's starting to start. People are being laid off. Different things are happening, but this is taking place because, the market has gotten out of whack. I'm watching a video earlier today for G-Wagons were, $150,000, and they grossed up to, in 2021, $250,000 or $260,000 per car. Just from inflation. It's insane. That's why I can't afford it. Shout out to Steve Trang. And so, what starts to happen is when you look at this, things have gotten unaffordable. And that's just what it is. And we've had to reset the economy. Is it impactful and going to hurt people? Yes. But is it something that has to happen? I think so.
Perfectly timed right there. That is how you end after the buzzer is sounded. Steve Trang, you are up next for the last one.
I think that the housing reset is not an unreasonable decision, direction for them to go. I would argue you've done it. Stop. Right?
Yes.
The conversation I was having earlier was this party kept going, it was out of control, and the Fed only has one tool. It's a freaking sledgehammer, right? It's like, do you want to use the wood handle sledgehammer or the leather wrap sledgehammer? Because those are the only tools they got, right? And they've pounded the hell out of the market, the interest rates. I would argue they're done resetting, but it does not appear to feel that they're done resetting. So I think it was a reasonable request, reasonable idea, but I think they kind of went a little overboard.
Perfectly. Yeah. 45 seconds. I'm gonna let you guys go to your rebuttal. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to slow down at this point. It seems like either. No. These increases.
One more coming at least.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even maybe this month, I think is what they're saying. And it's just tough, man. I mean, it's having direct impact across the board on people's business. If you bought a house in the last 24 months, based on the way things are tracking right now, you're going to be in a pretty tough spot. And there's not going to really be any way around that. So what we do from here, I don't know. But I mean, I think we could all agree, though, that prices did need to reset, though.
Absolutely. But we could have done an entire show on this one question. It is hard to put in all of our thoughts on this in 45 seconds, because what we're seeing from an investment community is that there are a lot of markets that are really being hit hard, and it's just this absolute massive shift overnight. And I say overnight, it's been 8 months, but it seems like it's happened overnight. The thing that worries me the most with this is like Steve said, it's just hammer and hammer. There's nothing velvet about this. It is just a sledgehammer that continues to hit. And what happens is, again, going back to unintended consequences, when a seller has no reason, they're considering to, let's say, upsize. They want to get more bedrooms, those type of things, but they've got a 3% interest rate. They're not selling anytime soon.
Why would they?
Why would they? They're going to from 3 to 7 and over 7. Why would they do that? So therefore, the inventory, the affordable housing was already an issue. I understand the reset, but at some point, it can't be every 30 days.
But I think something to point out too, man, is that this snowball, this pendulum swing happened because of unemployment benefits, because of how much money was given out. We all got excited about the STEMI, right? If you could qualify for one, right? PPP loans that and this money that was circulating inside of the economy over the last couple of years. And so now that pendulum has swung back aggressively the other way. And this was caused by the Fed originally. And now we're at a point where now they're trying to stop what they messed up. And so, they're going to be relentless, unfortunately, but that action is going to be so aggressive that what that outcome looks like right now, we're at this shaky spot. I don't know if y'all would agree, but I think we're at this shaky spot of
we're in
it's either going to get really, really bad or it's not going to be so bad. But right now, in my opinion, it looks like it's going to be pretty bad because that snowball is building with layoffs and just so many different things right now.
Hey, Aaron, we don't have RJ wasting our time this week, so let's spend a little more time here in the transition part here.
All right, go ahead.
I would agree.
So I would
we don't
say
have RJ wasting time.
Yeah, this stupid titanium bar. Anyway, so yeah, I would say like we've done what we needed to do. We slowed down depreciation, right? When they say a reset, I don't look at it as we necessarily needed prices to go down, right? Like if prices are flat and keeping up with inflation, unfortunately inflation is really high, but if properties are keeping value with inflation, I think like that would be a good place to be at. Prices having to go down, I don't think was really necessary.
How do you keep things affordable when wages aren't increasing though? Because that's the gag. Like that's the gag, right? It's like everything's increasing, inflation is pushing products, services, goods up, but people's pay rate isn't increasing not just. This conversation, I think, a lot of times gets stuck at lower income or those type of jobs, right? But this isn't isolated to that. This is to a lot of different people. If you're making $100,000 a year, that used to be good money. In all reality, right now, that's tough to stretch when you got a family, children. That's some people's household income. We're just in a tough predicament, from my perspective.
Yeah.
So everything that Steve, you're part of, and our community, when we have the best and the brightest that are looking at each individual market and how each individual market is affected. We all go back to that things did need to change. I think CJ is spot on there. COVID was supposed to be that black swan event that kind of leveled things off, but unfortunately it was a rocket ship and made everything take off, right? So at some point we knew that the band was going to stop playing, right? But at this point now is, okay, have we hit rock bottom? And I think that all of us would agree that there's more to come. So therefore I wouldn't say that we bottomed out. I don't have a crystal ball, but everyone I talk to seems to think that the Fed is going to let off Q2 of next year. Is that too late? And how many more hammers are we going to have to get hit over the head with until we get to that point? So if I'm an investor and I'm listening to this show, I'm not getting scared because I can make money at 7%. I can make money at 8%. You can do creative financing. There's all kinds of things that Chris has talked about a million different times when it comes to making money during these times. I wouldn't necessarily be scared, but I would make sure that you're paying attention to what the Fed is doing and what's happening in your local market, especially with listings over the last 30 and 60 days and what they're selling for, because your ARVs are going to change.
So Chris, let me ask you this, right? You're saying that we have to bring prices down. I mean, do you believe that's the Fed's goal? Like for housing to go down, for prices to go down, for eggs to go down? Because I thought they're just trying to stop inflation. I didn't look at this as a tool to bring pricing down.
Yeah, I think the Fed's goal is singular to inflation. I think they just got a goal singularly to get inflation down. I'm talking more of what the direct impact is to just us, right? Like they started it, they're the problem, right? If we're just being straight up, like the Fed is the issue here across the board, and we're just having to exist in what's taking place. And so the market though is still crazy, man. Like I just listed a rehab on Friday, and then within 3 days we had 20 something showings, 3 different offers. It was like it was summer of 2021 again. Yeah. So what does that mean? I don't know. It was in a more affordable price point, but no, I don't think that's intentional, man. But I think that's just what's going to like continue to happen. The market is going to continue to start pulling back just as a result, because to Leon's point, right? Like if you've got a 3% interest rate, which is a lot of people across the country right now, a ton of people bought houses in the last 10 years.
Bought or refied?
Both, right? Both, right?
So there's a lot of people with low interest rates.
It's crazy. And so there's no incentive to move unless you really just got to.
Yeah, unless you're not able to pay for that 3% mortgage because you overspent on, that particular asset because the interest rate, the monthly payment was good, but again, the wages haven't gone up. So from that standpoint, unless there is pre-foreclosure or something that has happened where you have to move, you're not leaving that. So therefore, less inventory will hit the marketplace. Yes, it will stall prices, but less inventory. And we already had a housing shortage issue. And here's another unintended consequence. Now builders are doing what?
Stopping production.
We already had a problem with new construction being built in affordable housing in general, just houses. Now they're stopping construction because interest rates have gone up. So there's multiple consequences from these hammers that we keep getting hit with.
One other thing, man, because Leon's making some really good points. One thing that he said, but kind of skipped over, I want to point out. See, like the market compression point, it's not just about the houses. It's about the fact that over the last couple of years, especially with all the stuff that happened, government assistance in the last couple of years, people have gone out and bought new vehicles. People have gone out and got credit cards, right? People have gone out and bought vacation homes and Airbnbs and all these different things. And so now when inflation continues to push upward, you're just at an income compression point because your wage does not increase. And so you just don't have the same nugget on a monthly basis to circulate around your obligations. And so things then start to take hits. And I think that's what's catastrophic potentially for the economy. I think that's kind of what Leon was saying, but
yes,
it's problematic, man.
Yeah, it's happening. And I think one of the things that's interesting, right? Because we're all in real estate. We're definitely on the investor side, but investment in real estate in general, according to, some research, like every time you do a transaction, right, there's a lot of people getting paid. And every time someone gets paid, there's a lot of money that kind of propagates, right? You got the realtor, you got the title company, you got the loan officer, you got the appraiser, you got the home inspector, the landscapers, Home Depot, right? The contractors, the handyman. Like there's so much money that moves as a velocity for every real estate transaction. So like all this money stopping, right? Like this music stopping, like the musical chair stopping. Like we're gonna see what's gonna happen as far as the economy.
So this is why I didn't want to start with the government question, because it's just overcorrection after overcorrection. Right? We throw money or hammers. That's
what's the fix,
what's that?
What's the fix though? That's the hard part.
Well, there is no fix because they only have one tool.
Yeah, but I do think that one tool, if applied gradually versus every 30 days, this hike, right? I don't think it's a perfect solution, but you know what? I love this country, and our government isn't perfect by any means. And we run a community of 300 people, and there's politics involved in that. So I can't imagine running the 50 states with different personalities across the United States. I can't imagine that. But that said, if it is the one tool, you have to make a decision and let's see where chips fall over at least a quarter versus every 30 days hammering people over the head.
I think the big thing is right now, I don't know, like I'll ask you two this question, right? CJ, market going up, down, or staying even for the next 90 days?
I think staying even.
Leon.
Well, no, let me back up because here's the problem. I don't know if the Fed increases the rate in 30 days.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Continue to go down.
A year from now, right? A year from now, it's October 2023. Prices up, down, or even?
I see him down in a year.
You say down. Leon?
Yeah, down.
right? The reality is we don't know if it's going to be up, down, or even. We don't know. And there's more uncertainty now. And that's what kills momentum more than anything else. If we were all in a consensus is going up or we're all in a consensus is going down, now we've got certainty and we're making plays to plan for it. We're all kind of like
that's true.
Sitting with our hands in our pockets. And this is what's killing all sorts of momentum. So the other thing I've been describing this, I was trying to explain this, what's going on in the real estate market right now, or at least how it's impacting us on our side. CJ, Leon, and I, we're in front of class. We're being good students. We're taking good notes, right? And then we got the government in the back seat throwing spitballs at the substitute teacher, all right? Principal comes in, that's the Fed, comes in with brass knuckles. And we've all got detention, and we're all staying after school, but we didn't do anything wrong. And that's kind of how it feels. We're all paying the price for some, few bad decisions.
That's actually a really good analogy, man.
It is a good one. You thought that one through, Steve.
Had to explain it a few times.
I think we beat this topic up with that massive hammer. I think we're good.
Yeah, you guys had some really good points there. And Steve, I don't know if you've ever been to detention. I don't know where you got that from, but it was a good analogy, though.
I've seen it in movies.
Engineering student. There's no way that dude. There's no way that guy's ever
I've seen it on TV shows and movies.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Also, guys, you guys are dropping some great comments in here. We have one saying that RJ Bates last week's votes made him retire, which I kind of think is true also. And to encourage you guys, the audience plays a big role in this show, and we only have 17 votes. We have 61 people watching. We need you guys to vote. Also, our last question is an audience question, so make sure you guys submit a question you guys want to hear, and maybe they'll have another great topic like that one where they can really go back and forth and we get some good insight. But CJ did end up winning that one by 58%, which gives him 2 points now on the round. And
it was a consensus. How did he win?
Look, man, tell to the people, man. We need more votes. Well, we're going to start with him next round, and we're going to ask, how do you vet a coach?
I think it's a great question, man. And this is one that's like an industry argument. I think having somebody as a coach that has walked the walk and is currently walking the walk, I think is super important. Now, there's this, this argument of, well, what if the coach doesn't do what they're teaching? Look, they got to have some concept, right, of what's taking place, of how things function, of how things work. But ultimately, I mean, who do you want to learn from? Somebody that's active, somebody that's really hammering away at what they're trying to show you, or somebody who's not? I'm a coach. I got a coaching program. My philosophy is simple. I'm going to teach you how to fish, but I'm going to fish by standing beside you and fishing myself. And so, that's how I think coaching should work. Everybody doesn't agree. We got a industry full of people who do 2 deals and then they become coaches. I don't know, but that's my thought process. For sure.
Looked like we were good, but CJ's internet seems to be coming back from last week, so we're going to go ahead and go to Steve.
I mean, I've said this before, right? Like, if you're going to find a coach, find someone that's living the life you want, has the business you want to have, living the life you want to have. So they've got to be doing deals. I personally believe they got to be doing deals. They got to be doing the kind of deals you want to do, right? And I think the other thing, right, the lifestyle. Like, I'm not a private jet, expensive exotic cars kind of guy, but if that's what you want, go find that guy. Me, I'm spend time with my wife and my kids, and it's all about quality of family life. I would say if that's what you want, work with someone like myself. But check out their social media, see if they're actually living the life that you want to live, and that's who I would aspire to be versus I would want to coach me versus someone that's you're finding on a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, or you're seeing the ritzy stuff that maybe some shiny boots or whatever. Like, don't chase just because of what you see out there.
That's a great point. That makes a lot of sense. Also, before we go to Leon G. Barnes, I did notice the Wichita State mug. I'm a big Wichita State fan, so I'm gonna lay off the buzzer for you on this next one. I'll let you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Very nice. All right, we've got a Shocker fan in the house, so I should get a point just for being a Shocker alum. So speaking of coaches and sports, it analogizes well to this, and that is, I am a big believer that coaches need to show you that they've done what they're asking you to do. That said, over time, as I have continued to get older and realize that there are people that can coach at a very high level that are students of the game, not necessarily great players. Bill Belichick's the greatest football coach of all time. That guy didn't play in the NFL, but he's a student of the game. And so when I'm looking for someone as a coach or advising someone, and this just happened, CJ can tell you that, and Steve can tell you that I most recently had a friend who's like a brother from high school that's trying to get into this business and is looking for a coach. The first thing I did is I text Steve Trang and I said, who would you recommend for, and I already had CJ in mind. I said, who would you recommend for a coach? You have to vet people from who they have used or who they are currently coaching. So I'll stop there and get more on the rebuttal, but it's important that you know who they work with and the type of success that that person has gotten from that person.
Great. An amazing minute 30 right there from Leon. So we'll let you guys go to the rebuttal.
Hey, man, you're a Shocker fan. You're supposed to give me 2 minutes.
I am a Shocker fan. I do like the Shockers and Ron Baker, all that team back then.
Nice.
Yeah, so I would say, that's a great point, right? With Bill Belichick, he did play at West Point, right? And he was a decent player. He was not an NFL caliber. So I'm not saying they have to be a Hall of Fame wholesaler, a Hall of Fame flipper, right? I'm not saying they have to be the best at their craft. I'm just saying they need to be attached to their craft, right? They have to be at least doing some business before they kind of explain it. So, Bill Belichick, yeah, he didn't do it at the NFL level. He did have to work really hard for 10, 20 years before he had some quality output. Yeah. And now, he can stand behind that. So I can definitely see the argument. They don't have to be doing it at a Hall of Fame level, but I do think they need to be connected to the business. Because how can you understand like the stress, the doubts, the anxiety, right? The paralysis analysis, like what, how can you give them that next step to move forward if you haven't done the deed yourself?
Yeah, I think one thing too, man, is to Steve's point. Look, if your coach is riding private jets and Lambos, look, there's nothing wrong with those things, by the way. But if they can't even tell you that the reason they can afford that is from coaching and not real estate, that's not somebody that you want to get coaching from, right? Because we're in this culture of coaches where more money is made online just by in value. But instead of just saying that, right, people will buy material things to try to market to you. And you have the impression that they got those things from what they're trying to teach you how to do, and they just haven't. So I think vetting somebody out that you're going to work with, have an honest conversation, I think is crazy important when it comes to hiring a coach, for sure.
Hey, Chris.
It's fit, guys. What you're trying to say there is fit, right? Steve, you were saying it earlier, is making sure you find someone that is living the lifestyle that you want to live. And if Lambos and private jets are what you want, then maybe it is. But to CJ's point, that person's probably not doing a lot of personal coaching for you. They're probably doing more sales on the sales side than they're doing anything else. But I think fit is super, super important. But at the same time, this is the part I was trying to get across earlier that I want to make sure that I double down on is before you hire anyone, I vetted CJ and other coaches through people that I know that know coaches, right? When you are talking to someone, you might not know someone that knows that coach. Ask them for 3 other students that they've coached in the past that you can call and talk to. No different than you would do with hiring an employee of give me 3 references. Same principle. So if you don't know someone that knows them, ask for people that have had success in their program.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity here. We should create this. A list of questions to ask a guru. Like, are you coaching me? Is this a one-on-one or a group coaching? How available are you going to be? Can I see your P&Ls and balance sheet from last year from your investment company? I think there's a whole bunch of questions that maybe someone should be asking before picking a coach.
And what I'm getting from you guys is that if I want to make the NBA, I needed to get a coach that was in the NBA and not a guy who was just teaching high school basketball. So that's much
not necessarily.
Well, it didn't work out for me, but voting is still open, so make sure you guys cast your last votes. And we don't have any sponsors yet for this show, so we're looking for a sponsor. So anyone out there that is trying to sponsor these gentlemen and get this show on the road, make sure you guys come and hit us, DM us, or even email us on Partner Disruption. I don't know what our email is, but
Steve@disruptors.com.
Steve
That'll
at
go to the right people.
disruptors.com right there. And Chris actually takes this round again, which seems like he has 3 points. So the U is coming through strong after Steve won the first one. And we're actually going to start with Steve on this last question here. In today's market, what is the best search criteria when pulling leads?
I mean, heck, right now, pre-foreclosures, because they're back. They were on pause for 2 full years. So I would say pre-foreclosures. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of pre-foreclosures right now. I want to say we're close to 9,000 homes in pre-foreclosure in the Phoenix market. So that is more than ample opportunity. Those people need to do something. So I would say right now in this market, I mean, pre-foreclosure has always been a great list, but it was out of style for 2 years because everything was on pause. And, well, it's back. It's hot. Jump on that.
All right, with 7 seconds to spare, Steve Trang. We're going to go to Leon G. Barnes for the next one.
Pre-foreclosures is the answer, especially right now because of what those statistics he just gave you. And in the past, pre-foreclosures have always been good, but they're even better now. Even though the market has adjusted and values have come down, there's still a lot. There's 2 key points with that pre-foreclosure list. Number one is there's still equity in a lot of those, and number 2, those interest rates on those loans that you can assume in a lot of cases is going to be, the loan, the mortgage is more valuable than the actual asset right now, just because of where that interest rate is. So pre-foreclosures, but don't sleep on absentees. There's a lot of landlords that have adjustable rates that are coming due and those type of things in the next year or 2. Don't sleep on those either.
All right, and we're going to go to Chris for the last one.
Yeah. So I'll be quick. I agree. The only thing I will add on the pre-foreclosure tip, though, is I really like pre-foreclosure vacant. And I just want to be clear that vacant doesn't necessarily mean absentee, but pre-foreclosure vacant right now is a super, super hot pocket that not a lot of people are hitting. And to Leon's point, it gives you the creativity option when you come across these deals because, and I want to make sure everybody understands what Leon meant, the interest rate component makes the real estate so valuable because the interest rate is essentially free. It's 2.25%. It's 3%. And so once you amortize that out over a 20, 25, 30-year period, you're talking about really great opportunity in some situations. So pre-foreclosure vacant for sure.
Great points there, guys. Let me give you guys a minute 25 to rebuttal.
Yeah, I think to Leon's point, because I missed this, right, is that you can buy these properties at full market value on wholesale terms, right? 2.25 versus 6.5. You can arbitrage that all day. You can buy that at 2.25, sell it at 5, right? Because that's still below market rate, and you're just making money on the difference for the next 20, 30 years. Great point.
And I think you forgot the hammer, because the most recent hammer, because I don't know where you're getting them at 6.5 right now. It's over 7 last I checked. So there's a new hammer that you missed.
Trying to avoid that hammer, trying to ignore all that nasty news.
Yeah, there's
rates
a lot
are pushing 7, man.
Yeah, they're in most. The last article I read in the journal was over 7, and going back to the hammer there, that where there's talk of another less than 30 days of potentially increase. I think we're going to see almost as high as 8. We're talking as high as we've seen since 2007. Again, there's money that can be made in any market, but pre-foreclosures, they had just basically dried up during COVID. And to Chris's point earlier, everybody used that STEMI money to go out and buy cars and TVs, and can't blame anybody for taking advantage of the opportunity that the government gave us. At the same time, is it sustainable with wages not going up? And the answer is probably no. So pre-foreclosure is going to be a good list for a good period of time.
All right. We only
I got a question.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Real quick, man. I think 8% too, but I'm curious how sustainable you think that 8% is going to be.
I don't think that. So we had a really sharp lender as a part of our community yesterday on an all hands on deck. We had 120 members on a call, and he addressed what he's being told on the financial side. And so this is a great part about being in the community, whether it's to you or any community. Find your tribe, and again, no crystal ball, but the information that's coming to him is that the interest rates are going to, there's going to be another increase more than likely, and then expect a drop off, whether that's a slight drop off or a major drop off in Q2 of 2023.
I think as a matter of gravity, Chris, it can't stay where it's at. It just can't. And the only reason why I'm saying that is that we're gonna have some massive affordability issues. We're gonna have massive situation where people are staying stuck in their homes. Like I've shared before, right? I started in 2007 and I went through some really dark times, right? 2008 to 2010. So I got a loan mod in my house. One of the very few loan mods that actually worked. And with my loan mods at 2%.
I was going to say they never go through.
They never go through, right? So I hired an attorney. I just got out of the way. It's like, you're an attorney. I'll pay you what I'm paying for a mortgage. You figure this out. I had a 2% mortgage after the loan mod. And like, I was looking at it as there's no reason to ever sell my house, right? And I had a 3-bedroom house that I bought as a bachelor. I got married in that home. I had my first child in that home. I had my second child in that home. It wasn't until I had my 3rd kid that I was like, all right, this 2%, like I love it, but I can't stay for a 2% mortgage.
So what we've learned today that not only is Steve smart, he's also very cheap. We learned that today.
I mean, there are some stereotypes that just don't go away.
Hey,
nah, get rich or die trying, man. I like it.
Don't get rich, die trying, right?
That's still the mantra. I want to have a lot of money. I just don't want to spend it.
You got to spend to win, man. You got to spend it to win it.
All right, well, the voting is closing soon. We only have 9 votes, and I urge you guys to go get some more votes in. We have a tie right now, so please try to break the tie. And if you don't see the poll on there, it might be because you're full screen. Look at the chat. There should be at the very top. You see 3 names. Click on the one you thought had the best argument. As we're trying to close out right now, we're in a tie between Steve and Chris. So place your votes on who you thought won that last round. And
yeah, it's real easy. You just vote for Steve Trang, and then you hit the thumbs up, and then you share, right? It's a 3-step process, right? You hit the Steve Trang, then the thumbs up, and then the share.
Yeah, that is one way. That is definitely one way. You can also do the other 2 ways if you want to, but the thumbs up and share is definitely essential. And the subscribe button. You forgot that, Steve. Hit the subscribe button.
All right, smash that subscribe button. I apologize.
Yes. But it looks like Chris Jefferson is going to pull away with this one at 55%.
Pull away.
At the very end, 55%
Yeah.
looks like he's going to pull away with this one. Please, I urge you guys vote some more and ask this last one is going to be an audience question. So if you guys did ask a question and it not answered this one, we will make sure to put it down for the next week. So keep asking your questions in the chat. For the last one, we're going to start with Leon here. How should we run our numbers as a wholesaler in this current housing market? Or should we focus on just what buyers want?
Well, I think you should use the most recent data that you can find if you're talking about purchasing properties, right? And I should say, when I say purchase, I'm using that loosely as an assignment as well. So forgive me, because I'm not a wholesaler. I'm a fix and flipper and a fix and holder. But you should be using the most recent data. So let's take for instance, Steve and I have talked about this a lot. 8 months ago, about April, we started to see a shift in Phoenix, and overnight they saw a change anywhere between 15 and 25% of underwriting changes in their marketplace. Steve knows that data because he's looking that information up every single day, every 30 days, making sure that he's on it, knows his own personal market. So I would base it upon the most recent comps that you can find in that particular area, because that information, as things have continued to go down, the most recent up-to-date information that you can find is how you base what your ARV should be.
All right, let's go to Steve.
I think you answered your own question, truthfully, right? Should you ask what your buyers want? I think you should definitely cater your buying and contracting price to exactly what the buyers want. Now, one thing that we don't have Eric here today, but he came up with the Brewer method, and if you can get things on the MLS, then you can pay more than everybody else. So if you're trying to contract right now to wholesale, I think you got to be at 65%. 70% on the higher side if you're in a really good area. I believe you answered your own question. Find out what your buyers are willing to pay and then put in your fee.
Perfect. And before we go to CJ, I gotta ask. I'm a corny person, and you're charged up. Do you know the Drake song "Charged Up"? That would be like my theme song before I walk into any of these debates. I don't know why you don't use it, but that would be me. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and go.
You're right, man. You're right. I love it. We got to get you on the Charged Up team.
Oh, jeez.
Shout out to Steve, man. Get Richard Trang. But look, here's the thing, man. Yes, you focus on what buyers want, but I think the point, though, is I think when people hear that, they just hear cash buyers. And I want to be really clear that the money that we're making right now, we're making a lot of money. We're making more than we were making a couple of months ago. But here's the difference, though. We're focusing on retail buying opportunities, not necessarily cash buyer opportunities. So how can we locate properties that we can sell to a retail consumer who's crazy enough to go get a 7% interest rate loan right now? How can we create those opportunities? And I think that's, whether it's a cash buyer or a retail buyer, I think you got to look at the property condition. And if it is livable and can appeal to somebody that can live in it and make repairs to it over time, I'm going to go retail 110%. So yes, you play to your buyer for sure.
All right, great guys. I'm gonna let you guys have your rebuttal.
You're spot on with that, CJ.
I think CJ did a great job repeating my point. That was fantastic.
you're spot. That's why I gave CJ the credit.
Yeah, it's all about your coach. It's all about if you can explain it the right way or not. That's part of the key things in coaching.
Well, the thing about right now, and I know that if you're a wholesaler, you're probably going, well, I don't have the resources or I don't have those, but you got to go find them. What you were doing 8 months ago is not going to play today if you're looking to continue to grow and scale. You may get away with some of that, but the market has shifted. I don't care if you're in the middle of the country, the Northeast, the West, wherever you are. The market has shifted. Some markets as low as 5% underwriting change. Other markets like Steve and Phoenix at 25, and markets like Boise have seen 25 to 30%, if not more, and they have not bottomed out yet just because their appreciation was over 100% in the last few years. So that's why I said what I said in regards to most recent data, because you're going to want to cater in this time frame more to retail buyers, people that are okay because they want to buy a house and they're a homeowner, that they're okay with 7% because they can make those monthly numbers work.
Yeah, and I heard something recently. It's just something to think about. I haven't changed my underwriting to reflect this, but something I heard recently, which is that when you're running comps, 6 months old is obviously out of date, right? 3 months old is more relevant. But some guys, they're just looking at active. They're just looking at active data, and I just got to be below that price. That's the ARV.
Yeah. Active and pending.
What's that, Chris?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're doing. That's one of the things that I'm doing right now. So the house I mentioned earlier that we listed, the comps were around 205, 215. I put out at 195 and contracted at 200. So yeah, I think you got to play the market for sure. I don't know if I'm coming in choppy or not. I'm skipping around a little bit, but hopefully that came out.
Yeah, that came out.
Yeah, you came out a little choppy. That's why we can't get your Drake song, your walk-up music. That Wi-Fi doesn't have that bandwidth.
Leon, you might be right there. Maybe I put too much on his plate on that one.
Yeah.
The voting is wrapping up, and it looks like Steve is going to take this final round right now. He's up 50%, so he would be with 2 points in this week, but Leon will come away with 0, and Chris will be the winner for this week with 4 points without the shorter cast. No 4 people today, only 3. So I'm gonna let CJ start off with.
Well, hang on before we let CJ wrap up.
Okay, go ahead.
Just a couple things. I think Leon, you got to go rally up your crew, right? You got the CG community, you got 200 plus members. You got to get some of these guys in here. I mean,
Well, see,
Chris is just fixing
see,
all the votes. So
yeah, my bad. My people actually are, high level real estate
don't trash the
investors
people that you want to win their votes.
no, no. I'm telling you that my people, it's hard for them to make this show at what time is it? 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern time. But we'll push them. We'll push them this way for sure.
And then the other thing I want to add some color commentary here. So this Get Rich or Die Trying, right? These shirts that I had no idea were going to be worn today during the show. My team put together. So the backstory here is I'm a very big fan of the mantra Get Rich or Die Trying. And so I had one of my admins find the poster, right? I wanted to get the album, right? Get Rich or Die Trying. I wanted to get that poster. Didn't work, didn't exist. If you got the album cover, it just didn't have the text. So we got the movie poster. That's actually what's hanging in my office. It's been hanging. I've been having that poster for like 6 or 7 years. I know it sounds ludicrous, but that's what I have. And my team decided to apparently modify that image and send it out as t-shirts.
Nice.
Your team did a great job.
Yeah, these shirts are comfortable. I like them. And also, Steve, to add on to your point, I think Leon was just trying to fill in for RJ because, he saw RJ's performance and he wanted to duplicate it, make sure he had someone that could, fill his role. So he did a great job this week of doing that. But I'm gonna let you guys.
You guys can tell me whatever you want. Look, I don't need your points to know that I win and win. I win every day when I wake up.
Hey, you win
over here.
You're from Wichita State. That was my dream school, so you're winning to me. All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys have your guys' final comments, and so we'll start with CJ, the winner this week.
Yeah, and I just gotta say, I guess, man, I didn't make it to Wichita State, wherever the hell that's at. All right, shout out to Wichita State and all the Shockers. All right, but no, in all seriousness, man, shout out to Trang, man. Happy birthday, man. I love you and appreciate you. I met you a couple years ago when I came to hang out and do your podcast. That was the first time we ever, I think, connected. We've been really solid ever since, man. We catch up when we can. Have really great conversation, impactful conversation. So keep doing your thing, keep impacting the real estate community as a whole. And, anybody on your team, look, I'm just so they know, man, because they did a phenomenal job getting the shirt to me, I got to say. All right, phenomenal job. If you ever need a W-2 adjustment, and you want to charge up, you're not feeling the 1099s, just highlight your boy. That's all I'm saying. That's all.
Just poaching live on the air.
Yeah.
CJ, I would definitely take that into consideration. Leon, we'll go ahead and you.
Yeah, so Leon G. Barnes, guys, with the Collective Genius Mastermind. If you're doing 25 plus transactions a year, you're looking for a community, just shout out to Steve and Chris and this show. I know a lot of our members they don't vote for me, but they actually do watch and love the show. They tell me every time we get a chance to meet at our meetings. But I can tell you this, couple things real quick, Chris. You will know about Wichita State here real quick because they're coming to Richmond to play VCU. So you will know this season
all right, there you go.
About Wichita State. And also shout out to CJ, who's taking care of my brother from high school, was looking for a coach, and I know he'll take care of him. So I appreciate you, brother, on doing that for us.
Yes, sir.
And then Steve, I can't tell you how many people I talk to every day that you've changed their perspective on real estate through your Disruptors podcast. Always have a great guest on, and I talked to 2 of them today. Like, I listen to that show regularly, and it gives me a lot of great insights and has helped my business tremendously. So thanks for having this forum for us to not get points or win.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that. And it does mean a lot. And, I think that today we had a very different conversation, but I think incredibly valuable. So, if you guys are listening and you guys think that there was someone that you're thinking of that needs to hear it, please share this with them. And it's something, again, I'm rolling out with Ren. Like, right now, it's really easy to be concerned with the market, cut back on marketing, cut back maybe on some expenses, and your sales team is going to be feeling it a little bit. I think you got to give your sales team some love. And so what Ren and I are talking about is how to effectively lead your salespeople so that they want to be with you side by side in this tough market, right? Talented people want to be with people that can help them get where they want to go. And if you're not helping them fill their cup, helping them fulfill their purpose, their mission, you can't be upset when they leave to compete against you. So if you're interested in that, check it out. We got disruptors.com/success. Ren and I are talking about how to effectively lead, manage, and retain your salespeople. So I'll leave it there.
Great stuff, guys.
Number one thing that you should be focused on right now during this time frame is sales, and more sales, getting as good as you can. And there's no two guys I would suggest more than Steve and Ren.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff, guys, this week. And if you guys want to catch the rerun for this show, make sure you go to the Pardon the Disruptions YouTube channel. We'll have all the clips over there. Or follow the Instagram. You'll see the TikToks, the Reels, whatever you want to call them over there, and the best moments of this episode. So signing off like my man Big Weez would. We'll be back next week at 11:30-ish, seems like always. And catch you guys next week.